Welcome to the Live Full, Work Fun podcast. This is the show to encourage you to live your life to the fullest and do fun work that fuels your lifestyle. Hi, I'm your host, Gayla Scrivener. Every week, you'll be introduced to amazing guests, useful resources, and inspirational stories. You'll discover opportunities and perspectives to shape your version of living full and working fun. Hi there, and welcome to the show. If this is your first time here, I'm glad you're joining for the very first time. Thanks for checking out the show. And if you're returning, welcome back. It's always great to have you here. Now, I got a question for you. Are you a part of the Live Full Work Fun Facebook group yet? If not, hop over there to Facebook and search Live Full Work Fun and join the group. I'd love for you to be in there. And if not, it's just pretty darn easy. The link is right there in the show notes. Well, I'm happy for you to meet today's guest. I've had the opportunity to meet her on a number of occasions over the past several years at different conferences. I love that her mission is to amplify good. She has a way of lighting up a room with her beautiful smile and her joyful spirit. Juliana Stachurski is a conversion copywriter, consultant, and speaker whose secret weapon in the fight against random acts of marketing is strong, direct response copy. Her words help established business owners grow reach, increase awareness, optimize conversions, and strengthen the engagement of their audiences. She has taught at several universities, and her gift for reining in information chaos makes her lessons power-packed and easy to apply. Juliana is a Ray Edwards International Certified Direct Response Copywriter who coaches clients to optimize revenue by improving their copy. Juliana is an island girl at heart with a huge family on Maui and in the Pacific Northwest. She currently resides in Franklin, Tennessee with her husband Brian and their 8 children. Yep, I said 8 children. She's happiest enjoying good food and good music with her favorite people. I know that you'll enjoy today's conversation with Juliana, so let's hop right to it. Juliana, welcome to the Live Full, Work Fun podcast. I am so glad you're here and taking some time out of your day to visit with us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
I would love for you to share a little fun fact about yourself that I didn't include in the bio or in the introduction.
Okay. Well, my fun fact is I actually have a couple of fun facts. Okay. So the first one is I come from a very large family. I'm actually the oldest of 10. From originally Hawaii, but mostly on Mercer Island now. And we love getting together. We love food. Food is our love language. And so when you think about how we can invest love on each other, it always is a party, lots of food. And so that's super fun, which makes sense because my second fun fact is I actually live in Nashville, Tennessee, actually just south in Franklin to be very technical. And I had the great opportunity to be introduced to a food ministry a few years ago that has just captured my heart. My fun fact as it relates to food being my love language and how it translates into what I do today is we have had the great privilege to serve it was over 4 million meals in 2021. We are well on our way to maintaining that in 2022. And we do food rescue. So we get food that is at risk for being wasted, thrown away. And it's quality stuff. We're not talking about brown bananas, but canned goods, produce, bakery from the area grocery stores and restaurants, and get that into families in need. So we are able to stand in the gap and help people in our local community with food insecurity. I've had the honor of being on the replication team. And so we actually are in not only Middle Tennessee, but also Alabama. And we'll be doing 6 distributions in the Florida Panhandle this year. So I'm really excited about that work and how we can help our brothers and sisters who are going through a rough patch, whether it's just seasonal or whether it's a circumstance of chronic need. And to do that through food makes me extra happy.
Oh, that is just fantastic. I love hearing that. I was getting goosebumps as you're explaining that. And I'm so glad to hear that it's expanding out.
Yes.
That is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity.
Thank you.
Well, something that popped out at me, 8 kids.
Yep. We got eight
Eight
kiddos.
kids.
Yeah,
You're from a family of 10, and then you
hmm
have eight.
I
My
do.
goodness.
I do.
So that seems so foreign to me. How do you juggle it all?
So, number one, it's not a walk in the park, but I don't think it's a walk in the park whether you have eight or whether you have one. I had a really great nurse when my twins were born who told me that kids take up 100% of your heart, regardless of how many kids you have. And for me, I really struggled because you hear a lot, especially in that mom space and that workspace, about balance, about that work-life balance and trying to figure everything out. And I tried that. And I realized that it was a lie, that there's really no such thing as balance. And once I embraced the concept of priority and just got really real about what was important to me, what was important to us as a couple, with me and my husband, what was important for our family, and organizing life by way of priority as opposed to balance, things got significantly more manageable. And I like to think that we're thriving.
Well, I know that you have a product or a philosophy of the priority framework.
I do.
And I'd like to get into that in just a little bit. But first, you're a copywriter by
I
trade.
am. Yes.
Yes. And just the other day, I was in a casual conversation with one of my newest clients, and I used the term copy and
Mm-hmm.
copywriting when I was talking about her project and moving forward with that. And she wasn't quite sure what I was talking about. And I needed to stop and explain what that was. And sometimes I take for granted what I know and that everybody else should know the same thing that I know. And I forget. Just 10 years ago, when I started, I did not know what copywriting was, let alone direct response copy. Can you explain why is it important if you're starting your own business or you're working on your own? Why is it important?
Yes. That's a really great question because even in marketing world, when we talk about copy, that's a pretty broad term and it needs to be more precisely defined. So in general, copy is the words that sit on your marketing material. And those words might be on a website, they might be in a piece of direct mail, that might be on a blog or in an email. Now, direct response copy is something even more specific. That is words that sell, or copy that is intended to induce action. So when we talk about direct response copy, that's a very specific type of writing, a very specific type of crafting the words so that whomever is reading that piece of work will take action. And that action might be to sign up for an email list. That action might be to buy your product, or that action might be to just go a step deeper with you and with your brand. So it's really important when you're looking for a copywriter, you look at what you want those words to do. If they are to educate and inform, or you might have a more academic piece, or if those words are meant to induce action. And if you're looking to induce action, then you need a direct response copywriter. Sometimes those are called conversion copywriters.
That is such great information. You explained it so well. I was not that eloquent with my client, but with copywriting, some people, and especially, and I've had this hang up, is that you don't want to be too pushy or you don't want to be too salesy, or are we being manipulative in copywriting in a certain way?
I hear that. And I think some of us may have been poisoned by the ShamWow infomercials. I'm totally dating myself by mentioning that, where you've got these bright graphics and it's buy now and limited time. And but wait, there's more. And we might laugh at those, but direct response copy does not have to be the ShamWow. It does not have to be in your face or feel icky. The way I look at it is that if you truly have something, whether it's a product or a service, that you genuinely believe could help someone, and better yet, has helped someone and will help your audience, then you have an obligation to share that with the world. That's really important. So, for example, Gayla, if you had skinned your knee and you were cut, and I happened to have a Band-Aid and something to wash it out with, it would be really not nice of me to hold that information and those products away from you and just let you have a bleeding knee. And eventually, it would probably heal on its own and it would be okay. But if I can get that cleaned out and healed faster with what I know about, washing out skinned knees and the product I have, that Band-Aid, then it would be doing you a disservice not to tell you about it.
Well, how long have you been doing what you do?
So my first foray into the marketing world was actually a million years ago, back when I was 16. I got to give preview lectures for Seattle Opera. And so they hired me to give presentations to various opera guilds to tell them stories about the upcoming operas. It was great. I would get to go with a couple of young artists. They would sing the key arias so that those donors would have context to the show that they were about to see. And as part of that, I also got to encourage our donors, obviously, to buy tickets, to renew their season memberships, to go a little bit deeper in their financial relationship with the Seattle Opera. Now, here's the fun part. At the time, I did not realize that it was marketing. I simply thought I was sharing knowledge that I had because I was kind of dork. I loved classic. I grew up in classical music. I love opera. I loved that people would listen when I had to share about various shows that I really, really liked. And so honestly, it was me just sharing something that was super exciting to me with a group of people who were super excited about that. And yeah, there was some monetization to it on the back end, but really it was about serving and information and having fun. And so when we fast forward to what I do today, those lessons still apply. It's really important, both for my own products and services and when I write on behalf of my clients, that there is that same understanding, that same energy, that same excitement that goes into sharing about something that's very important, not only to us, but to our audience, communicating, and also having an opportunity to invite that audience to engage deeper at a financial level with either myself or with our clients. So it's super fun. I love it.
So that's what makes work fun for you. Can you elaborate what makes work fun for you?
Oh man, what makes work fun for me is, so there are two things. Number one, I love that moment when a client has a breakthrough and they are able to clearly articulate not only who it is that they want to help, but most importantly, how they serve them and how that client's life is better because they decided to go into business. It's amazing. If you haven't had that opportunity, that breakthrough moment, that aha moment where everything lines up and makes sense, all the dissonance goes away is truly rewarding. That's super fun. I geek out about that type of thing. The second thing I love to do is I am so happy in a room with a whiteboard and a client that is very excited, but it's maybe a few steps back from having that big aha moment, being able to get all the ideas out and then crafting either an offer or crafting a customer journey that we can then take their audience on. Because I find that clients who have something great to offer the world but lack that clarity, that are guilty of committing random acts of marketing, just need some help to lay down the tracks so they can stay on track and make progress and hit those business goals they're looking for.
Going back to touching on your priority framework, I sensed, as we were talking just a little bit before, honing down on the priorities helped align your life and living a full life. So can you elaborate a little bit more on your priority framework?
Sure. Well, there are 4 components to the priority framework. And that very first one is to identify your anchor truth. Basically, that means what values do you want to build your life on? And that might be joy, that might be service, that might be wisdom. There are so many core values from which you can choose. And everyone, I believe, is been blessed with specific gifts and talents. So if you're an individual, taking an honest look at what your core values are, what's most important to you, what lights you up, or if you happen to be, in a committed relationship, doing that with the person you've decided to spend your life with, that's step one. You've got to have something to be your anchor truth. The second thing is, after you've identified those anchored truth, you need to hang some words around that to articulate your paradigm. So for me, that paradigm is to amplify good. And that's very helpful because when I consider adding things to my calendar, taking on additional projects, when I consider big decisions that involve my kids or my family, the question I ask, or the paradigm that I filter through, is, will this help me amplify good? And then it becomes very easy. That's a yes or no. And P.S., if you don't know, the answer is no. It's got to be a resounding yes for it to truly be a yes. So, are you ready to hear step 3?
Oh, yes.
All right. Okay. So step 3, and this can be, a little bit tricky. And step 3 is to triage your to-do, because despite my many appeals, there are still only 24 hours in a day.
Yes, indeed.
Which is disheartening sometimes, but that constraint actually is freeing, because it forces you to get real about those priorities. It says, all right, if this is what's most important, and here is the task list of all the things that's demanding my attention, you need to put those activities that help grow those anchor truths first, build those rocks in your calendar, and organize accordingly. And very soon you will see the things that, even if you are bummed that you have to do it, or you feel badly for, whatever social obligation you may or may not have, I can tell you with 100% certainty, it gets so much easier to decline once you know what's important to you, and you can say no to something because it allows you to say yes to something else that's much more important. So step 3 is to triage your to-do. So you've put that into order of priority. Your last thing is to evaluate your hours. And this happens both on the front end and on the back end, because I don't know about you, but I am really, really good at making beautiful plans. And sometimes life does not go as I have so beautifully planned. So when you evaluate your hours on the back end, give yourself permission to have a pat on the back for the stuff that you did really well. Identify the things that you may have wanted to do differently. Perhaps you said yes to something that you regret saying yes to. And the next step is to make sure that you decide what you're going to be doing differently when presented with the same circumstance, right? Because identifying an opportunity area is one thing, but if you don't pre-frame what you'll do next time, you're going to fall into the same behavior patterns, right? You're going to be like, oh man, why do I always do this? It's because you haven't rewritten the behavior that you want. So for example, if you have a problem saying yes to everything, which is something that I've struggled with, right? The next time something comes up that your gut tells you, no, this is not a good fit, having the language ready to go, we call that swipe file, knowing that you've given yourself permission to honor that person by thanking them for the opportunity, letting them know that your desire is to serve them at a really high level, and because of your production calendar, perhaps, or whatever priority has hit greater importance than the opportunity they're offering you, you wouldn't be able to serve them at your highest level. So you're going to decline. And having that built in makes living according to priority significantly easier.
I know that for me, I don't know if you do this, but for me, actually blocking off time in a calendar for whether it's personal stuff, it's drive time, it's kind of being that granular, but not so granular that it makes it easier to say no, because I've already put the priorities on my day or my week or my month. And it's like, I can't move these appointments.
Right.
And being a visual person that I am, I've done that. What's your trick on kind of framing your day or framing your week?
Absolutely. Well, time blocking has been life-changing for me. Like you, I'm a very visual person. So when I look at my calendar and I see that there is time blocked out for deep work, for the writing that I need to get done, and time blocked out for calls such as this, or time blocked out to spend with my family, it is very helpful in, at a quick glance, determining whether something may or may not fit. The second thing that's been really important and very freeing is that goals and objectives are fixed, but the path I use to get there are not. And so it's this interesting paradox where there is a very rigid end goal, but complete flexibility. So in the event that something goes a little bit sideways, there's always permission to take a look at another route of achieving that same goal. So having those times to set those original parameters on my schedule, vitally important, I agree. But also knowing that there's flexibility with, if something comes in from left field and I've got 2 hours blocked to write and I've got 2 hours blocked for family and I need to flip-flop those, giving myself permission to do that because I'm still hitting those priorities, but have ultimate flexibility in how that execution actually happens.
Yes, I love that. Now, on tracking, your fourth point on kind of assessing, how do you do that?
So I am a very manual person. And so I look back at what actually happened during the course of that week and how close or how far away I was. And when it comes to this, I am all about rounding in big colors and color blocks. My husband, on the other hand, is a data dork, and he's okay with me saying that. He will use, the name of it escapes me. It's the time tracking thing, Toggle. He uses Toggle. Yes. For everything. It's 100% for everything he does work related. And he'll even toggle, I'm taking the kids to football practice or things like that. And so he is much more granular, significantly more precise. That's how his brain works. And that's what helps him stay on top of things. For me, though, a manual look back is sufficient.
Well, I found, because we use Toggle, my team and I use Toggle, and I started that for, keeping track of what time was spent on clients. I missed the whole, what am I doing on my own business? What am I doing here? What am I doing there? And when I started doing that, my Toggle looks like atrociously busy, but it has been eye-opening. And I love that, to hear that other people besides myself are like, look back on that. And I love to hear how important that is. I thought I was being a little too granular, but I like how that can get us grounded in our direction. And I love your framework.
Thank you.
Love it. Juliana, I see that you have a Chaos Killer Mastermind.
I do.
What's that all about?
So if you aren't familiar with the mastermind principle, it is a group of people who come together for a singular purpose, come together regularly, and the goal is to advance in whatever lane you've decided that you want to advance. And in putting together the Chaos Killer Mastermind, I have spent several years in other masterminds that I've enjoyed and gotten so much benefit out of, both ones that are focused professionally, for example, specifically on direct response copy, and ones that were a little bit more, open-ended. And I realized that there was not a group, at least that I could find. And I looked for professionals that accepted the responsibility for being primary revenue drivers into their families, that also had kiddos, which I know sounds like a kind of weird sort of niche. But as we advance, and especially post-pandemic, when so many families had to pivot and figure out how they were going to better generate revenue, just giving the new state of, existence that we are all in, there's definitely a gap. And so I wanted an opportunity for those high-level professionals that also were sold the lie of balance, a place to be together, to be with like-minded individuals where excellence is the expectation, but that excellence doesn't come with the trade-off of sacrificing what's most important for your family. So that's the heart of what the Chaos Killer mindset is.
Oh, I love that, because we're so much trained, or at least I grew up thinking work is separate than personal. Do not bring anything personal to work, and, don't bring work at home, but it's so intermixed. And I think that the pandemic has really brought that out to light. And so that is great that you have a space for that. Have you owned your own business for a long while, or?
So I guess that's a long while is kind of relative. We started our business formally in 2013. So it's 2022. We're almost at 10 years. So that's very exciting. Our business has gone through several iterations, but it has always held the common theme of direct response copy and also marketing strategy. I think when you're talking about direct response copy, you have to have a strategy component. And if you're not the one architecting it, then you are writing under someone else's strategy, and being able to help businesses identify what those goals are and how you're going to get there. Leveraging marketing has been a consistent theme throughout our business.
I know from experience that owning a business has its challenges. What do you have anything that you would do differently in growing your business?
I would have accepted that balance is, it's a naughty word. That balance is a lie. Let's put it that way. Much earlier, because there was a time when we started where I assumed that if I spent this many hours on my business, I needed to spend that many hours with my kiddos, and that there had to be some sort of equity in order for things to be balanced, right? And as a result, my health suffered, my business suffered, and my relationship with my family and kids suffered because I was literally trying to do all the things and do all the things equally. And once I realized that there was a definite priority that I needed to take care of, and I was willing to articulate that, put that down on the calendar and live by it, my business improved, my relationship with my kids improved, my health improved, and things got significantly better. So if I could wave the magic wand and go back in time, I absolutely would have been ruthless with priority from the very beginning. It took me a few years to get there.
Well, Juliana, what has been one of your favorite resources or books that has made a difference for you, either personally or professionally?
So I am a book nerd. I have lots of books that I like. So personally, I love the book Boundaries. That's been a very important book for me. Professionally, of course, I love Ray Edwards' book. And I'm going to mess up the title because I always say this wrong, but I believe it's Writing Words That Sell. But if it's not, Ray, I'm so sorry. I can see it. It's on my shelf.
I've got that book too.
Do you have it? We can wave it around. Man,
Yeah.
I love that because it was so simply presented that even if you did not have a background in marketing, but you knew you could write, and this is something that you wanted to dip your toe into, it was immediately actionable. And I think there are so many marketing books out there that get caught up in the theory of things. And that was literally a handbook that says, if you want to do this, you need to do this, this, and this. And it was a step-by-step guide. So that was hugely, hugely impactful.
Awesome. Did you have any others that you wanted to share? Or?
Oh, man. So I love The Black Swan. It is a book about the idea of random events not necessarily being so random, which is exciting. It's so funny. I apologize that I wasn't more prepared. I have like the whole bookshelf at home that I have read and revisit frequently. On a personal level, I love Man's Search for Meaning. I'm a fan of Candide. I love The Death of Ivan Ilyich. I'm reading a fun story right now that's All the Light We Cannot See, which has been just kind of a fun story to read. But I'm a book nerd. I can pull up my Audible and tell you, all the things that I listen to. I try not to have more than 2 books going at a time, but yeah, in a perfect world, it would involve me and a vast library and a comfy chair and a good cup of tea, and I would be so happy. It would be great.
I love that. I love that.
Yep.
Well, Juliana, it has been such a wonderful time. I'm so glad that you spent some time with me, and I just feel and see through the screen here just how joyful, you find your work, your life, you've figured out what's really important and prioritizing that way. And it's just wonderful. And how does everyone stay in touch with you?
Yes. Well, you can find me at chaoskiller.com. Also, I am on LinkedIn. I know I have a long name. I actually happen to like it, but I believe it'll be in the show notes. It's just Juliana Stachurski, my name, and you can find me there on LinkedIn as well.
Yes, I'm going to have all of your contact links so that everybody can get you right there in the show notes, as well as some of these resources that you've shared. So
absolutely, I'd be happy to share. And I am so notorious for thinking of things after we've hung up the call. So if people have questions, or if you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm always happy to share.
Thanks for being here.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. Have a good one.
Well, thanks for being here with me today. Be sure to scroll down into the show notes where you'll find all the links to Juliana's contact information, as well as many other resources that she had mentioned. Now let's continue this conversation. Hop over to Facebook and post what your biggest takeaway in today's show was in the Live Full, Work Fun Facebook group. Now my biggest takeaway was certainly being wholeheartedly on board with Juliana's thoughts that a work-life balance is just BS. I love how she broke down living by priorities. And it was pretty cool to learn that she and her husband, Brian, track their time usage similar to how I do. It's nice to know that I'm not alone in thinking that it's helpful, to track time as a planning tool and a good reflection tool. Now, I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I'd love for you to do me this tiny favor. Please share this episode with at least one person who you know who might find it enjoyable and helpful. Just text them the link. It's that simple. Well, thanks again for listening. Until next time, have a fantastic week. Live full, work fun.